Howdy hi, and welcome to my region locked Elden Ring run! This run I will be locking my equipment I can use to the map I'm currently in, so if I'm in Limgrave, I can only use weapons, armor, and talismans from this map until I kill the region Remembrance boss. And once they're dead, I must discard all my equipment I got in this area, so no reusing equipment later on. The only exceptions I made for this rule is returning to areas for upgrade materials to upgrade my weapons later on, and key items so I can do all the remembrances like I plan on doing. With all that out of the way, let's go! My shopping list for Limgrave is pretty sparse. I want to head first to Kale to get my crafter's kit and some cracked pots for later in the run. Then I want to get the Lord Sorn's greatsword for my weapon of choice for Limgrave. After that, all I need is some upgrade materials and I'm good to go through Stormvale. Kinda. Whee! Boink! We did it. Second try, no sweat. With Margit down and Godfrey falling soon after, we finish our first area and can destroy the items we obtained to get here. Feeling pretty good about the first area being down, I decided to head to Caelid next, thinking it would be fine. It was not fine. I failed to remember that the smithing stone bell bearing was in Liurnia, so I couldn't upgrade my weapon by going to Caelid first. And after looking it up online, I found out that Caelid has no smithing stones 1 or 2. So I was hecked. Oh, so what did I do? Well, I went to go get one of my favorite weapons, the Wakizashi. Getting the weapon was fairly simple. Run to the cave, realize I'm in the wrong cave like an idiot, run through the right cave, and then get the weapon. In and out, just like that. No sweat whatsoever. But wait, it was in fact sweat, because for some reason I decided I wanted to kill the gladiator downstairs, and I don't know what Miyazaki fed this thing, but it wrecked me and my no damage dealing mini sword up. Oh, we did it, finally. That guy sucked. With our weapon in hand and upgraded as much as I could get it, I make my way to the festival. Originally having the idea to do the Misbegotten and Crucible Night before Radahan, I chickened out and didn't want to do it after the gladiator fight. So, we do the Radahan skip. So now I'm just gonna come out and say it. I don't want this to be a tangent, but I don't like this fight. I think Radahan moves around too much. I think the AI helpers get in the way more than they actually help. And I think this guy's just too freaking big to be a fun fight. But when I say this fight was rough this time in particular, I mean I got so irritated with this guy, he gave me a nosebleed in real life and made me in-stream early. But coming back fresh the next day, we got him in like the 3rd or 4th try, so it wasn't that bad. With Caelid finished, I can finally head to Liurnia and get my smithing stone bell bearing, but first I'll need a weapon. And for the rest of this run, I'm going to be trying to use weapons that I've not used in Elden Ring to keep it interesting for myself. So I head to go get one of my favorite weapons from the Dark Souls games, the Great Scythe. So I look up where to go to get the scythe, head into the catacomb, pick up a cool looking helmet, and our weapon for Liurnia. Heading out of the catacomb, we head straight to the mines to get our bell bearing for smithing stones for the rest of the run. Then we go and get some more prep work done for the late game, picking up some St. Trina's Lily and the Haggletree half medallion. Then all we need to do is head to the round table and... what the heck? Who does this clown think he is? Now we can go to the real round table and upgrade our scythe and then head to the academy. Entering the academy with all the prep work done, we make quick work of Radagon's dog and the headmistress herself, gaining our 3rd remembrance. Heading out of Liurnia, we can now use both halves of the Dectus to get to Altus, is what I would like to say, but we don't have the second half, so our next stop is heading to the lower part of Limgrave, the Shaded Wood area. Now, I probably should have counted this area as part of Limgrave proper, but hey, I forgot, it's my challenge, so fuck it! I'm going to count this area as part of Nokron and have the Ancestor Moose Spirit be the remembrance for this area. The Shaded Wood area has quite the shopping list. First, we can get a talisman, finally, with the Axe Talisman. As well, we can finally get our Wondrous Physics, which I am going to be allowing myself to use in later areas, primarily for Moog and the Lord of Blood. But that's a different beast, so more on that later. Next, we head over to our favorite meat vendor and simply buy our weapon for this area, the Mighty Hand Axe. But seriously, this is one of the few weapons I could actually find in this area without having to farm, and I don't want to have to farm. Yuck, not gonna happen at all this video, nope. After we have our weapon, we can go get our Bloody Cookbook in the second half of the Dectus Key. I also decide to pick up the Ash of War for Bloody Slash. Now, this is a part that you could technically consider cheating, because I do end up using Bloody Slash later in the run on different weapons for different areas, but it's still mostly in the spirit of the run, and it's my challenge run again, so fuck it! Anyway, now with all the prep for mooses done, we can head underground, kick our doppelganger's butt, and after some quick boop 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 boop, torches are lit, bang bang bang, weapon is upgraded, and now we can go hunting. Overall, the moose was pretty simple, just annoying to hit, so I'll just show the kill and be done with the Remembrance number 4.
Oh yeah, also this part of the video is getting kind of long, but we took a quick trip to Carrion Manor to get Ronnie's quest progressed a little bit further, but more on that later.
Alrighty, that last area was pretty long, so we're going to speed through Lindale. First thing on the shopping list is the Twin Blades. These are, in my opinion, one of the coolest weapons in games. From all the way back in 2000 with Zidane from FF9, I've just liked them and thought they looked cool, but I haven't used them in Elden Ring, and I haven't used them since Dark Souls 2. So I'm pretty excited to finally get around to using it, and it also comes with a pretty cool drip right next to it. Now, here is the moment I could be considered a cheater for this run. But who cares? I imbued the weapon with blood, and I used the Ash of War. Sue me! With our weapon in hand, we sprint through Lindale, take care of the bouncer horse, do some parkour, and deal with our Holy Spirit. Now for our 5th Remembrance, this fight was honestly pretty boring. I died a few times, but the main enemy here was just being patient and having an opportunity to actually attack the guy. But like the others before him, Morgoth follows and we can move on to the next hurdle of this challenge run, the Mountaintops of the Giants. And now we head into the slog of the game, the Mountaintops of the Giants. And this run is worse than normal, because there are shoot-all for weapons to pick up. But I do remember to pick up a dagger on the elevator into the Forbidden Lands, only to realize it needs faith, and I really don't want to use faith this run, because I don't have any spells to use for it. So I end up not using this dagger at all, but I keep it on for accessories. Next on the Mountaintop shopping list is the bell bearing for smithing stones, which in transparency I got after I left this area, because I forgot to do it. And then we head straight to our next weapon, the Eclipse Shotel. So after the bummer news of seeing how much faith it required, I decided to go for my backup weapon of the backup weapon and just go get the Rivers of Blood. But that had its own issue, thus being I have to kill the invader with no weapons. So after some testing and thinking with chat, I decided to try and use gravity and found a cheeky little spot where the invader just slipped and fell, giving us our weapon for the area. Now that we're armed with weapon and mask and have it upgraded, we need to head first to the Commander Nile. Yep, no fire giant yet because I need to do Commander Nile for the Haggle Tree half of the medallion for later in the run. But this proved to be a greater task than most of the Remembrance bosses we do this run. My main man, Commander Nile, absolutely tore through me, and with very limited options for other equipment, we had no other option but to brute force our way through it until we killed him, which took about an hour and a half of attempts. But playing our favorite game this run, the Patient game, we were finally able to take him down and move on to the Fire Giant. As far as Remembrances go, Fire Giant was pretty simple with a good bleed weapon, and we can move straight onto Faram Azula with no sweat. Getting into the Crumbling Faram Azula, I do a quick run through, pick up all the upgrade materials I'll need, get all the Sites of Graces up to the Godskin duos, and now this is where I lie a lot. So, remember earlier when I said we wouldn't be farming for weapons this run? Well, I lied. There will be technically 2 more times we had to farm for our weapon in the area because FromSoft thought it would be hilarious to have no weapons that you can just pick up in some of these areas. So, to get our weapon for this area, we're going to be killing the Beastmen for one of their curved swords, and to do that, I respected my time just a little bit too much, and I ended up using the Storm Axe to farm them, just so I didn't have to push them off cliffs or try and beat them to death with my fist. So here's a little montage of about an hour and a half of killing Beastmen until I finally got the drop.
Faster and faster, dear. It's like we're moving backwards in your rearview mirror. The road eaten up by the snow, eaten up. I can feel, I know you feel it too. A little flicker on the path we steer of subtle flashing lines. We'll go faster and faster. This time my mind, it won't faster and faster. This time my mind, it won't forget. This time my mind, we're not there yet. This time, it goes faster and faster.
Well, that sure took a minute, huh? Now that our farming's done, though, we can move on to the first boss of this area, the Godskin Duo, which we only took about 4 tries to do with the sleep pots and the bleed weapon, so pretty cool. With the duo down, though, we can make our way through the rest of Azula and do one of my favorite skips, and then head straight to Placidex, or Placid Dude Sax. Placidex? The suit? Oh, I don't know. Who cares how you say his name? Regardless, he was a fun fight. I've only fought this boss a few times, just like Melania. I've only done them in challenge runs, really, so it was fun to learn this fight with this weapon. Now, with both those two bosses down, we just have Malekith, which we second try after a really close first try and can move on to the Ashen Capital. Entering into the Ashen Capital, I really didn't know what kind of weapons were going to be here, or whether or not we would allow these sewers to be part of the area, but none of those worries or the sewers had anything to do, because the first weapon I found worked really well for this whole area. That weapon being the Cane Sword, with Bloody Slash. And I gotta say, this Ash of War and weapon combo worked really well, giving us the silliest Gideon fight I've ever had. This guy literally just sat there and let me wail on him the entire fight. Horalu / Godfrey I second tried, and then we proceed to first try the Radabeast combo, so I don't know, maybe my third eye of Elden Ring opened, or maybe Bloody Slash is just really overpowered. The world may never know, but with that being said, we finished the Ashen Capital and the game! And now we can just sit back and enjoy the credits and... wait, no. What do you mean there's 3 more remembrances I need to do? Fine, alright, let's get it over with. Okay, let's get these next 2 areas done quick. First up is the Volcano Manor. For the manor, I know I only need 1 weapon for 1 boss, so I try to make it a fun one, and I look up and find these claws in a cave that I've never been to before, so I head there first to get the weapon. And the only words I have to describe this cave is loot boxes! No, but really, there was a lot of chests in this cave. It was pretty cool. I liked it. Anyway, we get our claw, and we thankfully also get a shield, which will help with Rykard later. Heading through the manor is a pretty easy task, and the first boss, the Godskin Noble, is even easier as we first try it with our claws. Next up is Rykard, the easiest fight in the game for this run in particular, because I can just pick up the Serpent Hunter and play normally. So you'll remember earlier when we stealthily did the Carrion Manor after the Ancestral Moose Spirit? Well, here's why. We needed to progress Ronnie's questline far enough to be able to enter the Lake of Rot so we could fight Estelle, because I'm sure, like most people, I forget he's in the game and a Remembrance boss. The Rot is not my favorite area to be. I know it might be controversial, but I don't like being rot poisoned for everywhere I go. But since we have enough vigor, really the rot wasn't too bad, and I knew where a weapon was with the Scorpion Dagger, but I didn't want to use that right away, so I tried to use that to kill the Dragonkin Soldier, and it didn't go well at all. I got torn up by him and the rot. I tried a few different methods, but it didn't work, so we're gonna just use the Scorpion Dagger and go for Estelle. Now, going into Estelle's fight with the Scorpion Dagger, I learned something new, that he could get rot poisoned, which made this fight substantially easier, only dying a few times and just being able to clear him out pretty easy. Now for Mogwin's Dynasty. Now here's an area that was just awful. Getting to the area by itself was a little bit irritating. Why, you might ask, was it a tad bit irritating? Well, because I had to kill the Sanguine Noble, which didn't want to fall for my gravity strat we used on the Rivers of Blood guy, and so I just had to kill him normally with the curved waterfowl something or other sword. Okay, so, hey, Editor Rusty here. I didn't realize that I didn't actually use the freaking weapon to kill the Sanguine Noble, and I did in fact use gravity. So just, you know, take that for what you will. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Back to the video. But no, that wasn't the issue. The issue was finding a freaking weapon to use in Mogwin's Dynasty. My idea was to use the Elden Ring's Greatsword weapon art to farm the Albanorics in the Rune Farm to get one of their weapons. But after over an hour and a half of freaking doing this farm, not a single weapon drop and 3 drops in total. Needless to say, I decided to count the consecrated snowfields as part of Mogwin's Dynasty and just use the curved waterfowl scimitar for my weapon for this area. I didn't end up using any of the runes from the farm either, because I would consider that too far cheating, so I just died with all those runes. So after farming those frog people for as long as I did, I just ran up to Mog and killed him in a couple of tries. It wasn't too difficult, and now we can head to the final remembrance of the run, Malenia. Our last remembrance, our final area. This is what I've been waiting for and dreading this whole run. This area has the same issue as the crumbling Faram Azul in Mogwin's Dynasty, and that is there's no freaking weapon to just pick up! But at least there are enemies very close to a site of grace that I can farm for their weapon, and without cheating for the most part. So I go first to Renala to respec for a ton of arcane to increase my drop chance, and it sucks. Like, okay, I could have allocated my stats differently, like give myself a little bit more vigor so I don't get one hit by all the enemies, but I really tried to do this farm for as long as I could, and I just gave up and I bought an axe from the Twin Maiden statue to farm the weapon. But I should at least show off my idea for the farm before I fully just go on with the haggle tree. So my idea was to lead the Misbegotten up the ladder, push them off, and kill them with fall damage. And they just killed me most of the time. I also had the idea to use the elevator shortcut to Loretta, but that just was even worse than the ladder, so I only gave that a few tries. Once I caved and got a weapon from the Twin Maiden statue, though, we got the axe really quickly, and I even got a second one in case I decided I wanted to dual wield, which I do against Loretta for jumping attacks, but not after that, really. Speaking of Loretta, we can go back to Renala now that we have our weapon and respec for better stats for it, and Loretta was a pretty easy fight. We thankfully first tried her, and yeah, just jumping attack spam it. Not much to say. Now that Loretta's down, we have the full access of the haggle tree opened up to us, so we're going to get some more prep done to be as prepared as we can for the Malenia fight. And so I go and pick up the physical damage reduction talisman as well as the stamina talisman, and I'm ready to go.
I dreamt for so long. My flesh was dull gold, and my blood rotted. Corpse after corpse left in my wake. As I awaited his return. Heed my words. I am Malenia, Blade of Mikola. And I have never known defeat.
my god. I cannot tell you how much sweat is like funneling down my shirt right now. Oh. I need a second. My heart is. I'm not doing okay.
My brother. I'm sorry. I finally met my match.
Oh. Oh shit! We're done! Region locked, items and equipment. Fucking done. Whew. Wasn't even hard. Had it done the first time.